Hello, one and all. Welcome to another episode of MMA Vision Analysis. I'm here to talk about Alexander Volkanovski, near future, his disinterest in switching weight classes, that and so much more. But before getting started, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, click that notification to get all of this that is new from this channel, your channel, the one and only MMA Vision Analysis. Alexander Volkanovski now is on 2 losses. Three losses, excuse me. First decision against Islam Makhachev. I want to say immediately he went back to fight Islam Makhachev again. I don't remember if there was a fight between the two Makhachev fights, but he lost the decision the first time around, obviously against the lightweight champion in the lightweight division. The first time around in the decision, though, I think was a bit controversial. I spoke about that kind of thing immediately after the fight. The second time around, obviously, the fight between the two was not as competitive as the first one. Obviously, Islam Makhachev won knockout of the year, if I'm not mistaken, with his knockout of Alexander Volkanovski, that infamous head kick to the dome that dropped Volka. And I think that was the fight that kind of started the domino effect. Well, somewhat of the domino effect. Thankfully, Alexander Volkanovski, though he offered himself to be a replacement fighter for many different fights after the Ilia Topuria fight, but ultimately I think the knockout against Islam Makhachev caused Alexander Volkanovski to look as vulnerable as he did against Ilia Topuria. Not to discredit Ilia Topuria in any sort of way, but it's a fact, I think, that there was not enough recovery after the damage that Alexander Volkanovski took against Islam Makhachev before he went ahead and took on that Ilia Topuria fight. Too tough for his own good. Alexander Volkanovski went on to take the fight against Topuria and obviously got knocked out against Topuria. So 2 knockouts in a row, if I'm not mistaken, 3 losses in a row. If you were to say, let's say a year and a half ago, that Alexander Volkanovski will go on to lose 3 fights, with 2 of them being knockout losses, it would be a very, very difficult statement to believe. Alexander Volkanovski at some point was, if I'm not mistaken, he was up there pound for pound. I want to say that at a certain point he was pound for pound best fighter, active fighter during those times. Obviously, I personally still look at Alexander Volkanovski the same Volka. It's just 2 knockouts back to back, and I believe that the recovery period should have been longer after that Islam Makhachev fight before he went ahead and took on that Ilia Topuria fight. Obviously, Volka had something to prove to himself, and I believe that drove him to get back in that octagon against Ilia ASAP, which was not the greatest idea. He thought that was going to serve as some sort of redemption for the name that is Alexander Volkanovski. Unfortunately for Volka, that was not the case. A guy in the name of Ilia Topuria shocked the world of MMA, perhaps aside from his personal fans. His fans were probably not so shocked. Personally, I was not as familiar with Ilia Topuria prior to that Volkanovski fight. And with all respect to Ilia Topuria's previous opponents before Alexander Volkanovski, but no name tops Alexander Volkanovski. Obviously, he's getting ready to face a guy in the name of Max Holloway, the holder of a BMF title. That's a different situation. I'm talking about Ilia prior to the Volka fight. So, obviously, added a lot to the star that is Ilia Topuria. He's become known. Obviously, he is effectively the champion of that featherweight division and is looking to defend it against a Max Holloway. I want to say UFC 308. If I'm not mistaken, UFC 308 happening in October. Could be wrong about the month. Pretty sure it is UFC 308. Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway for that featherweight title. BMF will not be included. Obviously, Alexander Volkanovski, former champion, is an active fighter still, and I've actually said it earlier in this video. Alexander Volkanovski offered himself to be a replacement fighter more than once after the Ilia Topuria fight. And obviously the guy is too tough for his own good sometimes. But now he's come out with some statements, and he states that he's not interested in moving up to that lightweight division nor taking a lightweight bout. Even if it doesn't mean that he's necessarily moving up to that division, just taking a fight against a lightweight fighter. Volk expresses his disinterest in such proposition. He also expresses his interest, obviously, in staying in his current division, the featherweight division. I believe the deepest division in the UFC, the one that's packed with talent. I really believe that at this very point. People say it's the bantamweight division. I highly disagree. I think it is the featherweight division that has the deepest amount of talent that is separated with small margins. Obviously, top three guys. You have Ilia Topuria, champion, Max Holloway, BMF holder, Alexander Volkanovski, former title holder, we have Brian Ortega, we have Yair Rodriguez, we have Bruno Silva, we have Diego Lopez, the guy that Ilia Topuria praised recently. So many different names. Obviously, the new addition to that division, the former bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling, who has a bout of his own coming up as well. Very interested to see what happens for Aljo as well. Aljo is very well indeed a couple fights away from a title fight himself. I believe that. But Volka, we're talking about Volka here. Volka expresses disinterest in moving up to that lightweight division to take any sort of lightweight bout or any bout outside of his division. He expresses his interest in only fighting in that featherweight division, and he is willing to wait around for a title fight. I think that's a fantastic idea for Volka. Wait around, take your time to recover. You are coming off back-to-back knockout losses. You can wait another 6 months or 7 months or 8 months or what have you. International Fight Week 2025, let's say around March, between March and May, you get back in there against the winner of the fight between Ilia Topuria and Max Holloway. You face the winner of that fight. That would make complete sense. I totally agree with this plan from Alexander Volkanovski, and I don't want to see, in all honesty, Alexander Volkanovski to risk a third loss in silly propositions that don't make sense. If it's not for a title, if it's not in the featherweight division, I don't think it makes sense for Volka. Volka has to be involved in a title fight. Some may say, why, guy coming off 3 losses, why should he deserve a title fight? Well, first fight that he lost against Islam Makhachev, I believe Volka got robbed. Second fight against Makhachev, lack of preparation. I'm not making excuses for Volka here, but it was the lack of preparation. You guys can trace back. You'll see the results of or the evidence of lack of preparation for the second fight against Islam. Third fight against Ilia Topuria, he got knocked out obviously against Islam and went on to take that the very dangerous Ilia Topuria fight in a very short period of time. So it all makes sense when you actually sit there and think about it. If you made it this far, I appreciate you for sticking around. Please let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe for more.